So in this video, we're going to talk about how to improve your mobility and strength in your hip flexor and quad through PAILs and rails. Now, many guys, especially faster athletes, sprinters, receivers, DBs, guys who are just really speedy guys, they struggle with hip flexor pain, weakness, and tightness, especially when we're getting into the real grind part of season where you're using those hip flexors a lot. So one thing you want to do is you want to maintain the health of these hip flexors, your quad, and this will even help with knee tendonitis and some pain in the knee, because a lot of the times when we're experiencing pain through this or not pain, but tightness through the quad and hip flexor, the patella tendon takes more load than it should just with regular workouts, with regular running. So if we can loosen up the tissue up here in what we call the anterior chain, the front chain, we'll take some of the stress off the patella tendon and let that heal up a little bit. So there's a lot of benefit from keeping a healthy quad and hip flexor mobily and strength-wise. So I'm going to show you a couple of drills today that can help a lot with that. The first one is we're going to get down in a lunge position. We're going to do what's called a PAIL and a rail with our hip flexor and our quad. Now, if you don't know what a PAIL and a rail is yet, go back to my video on PAILs and rails. It's going to go in depth on what a PAIL and a rail is, why it's beneficial, and how to use them. There's going to be some gaps in this video right here that I'm not going to explain, and if you get that information, you'll be able to better handle what I'm teaching you right now. I want to have a dowel rod, not for any other purpose other than I just need to maintain my balance while I'm doing this drill. So if I have something to hold on to, I'm less likely to have to fall over and lose the stretch that I'm doing. So I'm going to set up in this lunge position right here, get something under your knee so it's not driving into the floor. I'm going to set up pretty vertical with this front shin, vertical underneath the knee, straight ahead. I want to stay nice and even. I'm going to reach back. I'm going to pick up my back foot right here. Now, once I'm here, the temptation is to let my hips sink back behind me. So what I want to do, and you can see I'm off balance a little bit right there, that's why we got this dowel rod, is I want to bring that hip forward by squeezing my glute and getting my torso vertical. I'm now feeling a really big stretch through that quad up into that hip flexor. Now, once I'm right here, during the passive stretch portion of this that we're going to hold for 2 full minutes, so set up a clock in front of you so you can see it, is I'm going to squeeze that glute, continue squeezing that glute, and then start pulling this heel into my butt. Now, as soon as you keep that glute squeezed and pull that heel, you're going to feel a lot of tension in that quad and that hip flexor. If you're not, go ahead and tilt your hips and try to look down like you've got a belt buckle right here. If you're not feeling that stretch up into the hip flexor like you want to, maybe I'm feeling it too low in the quad, tilt your hips underneath yourself with that glute squeeze and try to look down like you've got a big old cowboy belt buckle on your waist, and that'll really transfer the force up into the hip flexor where we're trying to target right here. So I've got my ankle or I've got my foot, whatever you're capable of. I'm looking down at my belt buckle. I'm pulling it into my hips. We're doing this for 2 full minutes. And then after 2 minutes, I'm going to hold this position. And now for my PAIL, I'm going to drive into the ground and forward. So I'm going to drive knee down, try to make a dent in this pad. 1 out of 10, 10% effort, 5 to 10 seconds. I'm going to bring that up to 30%, 5 to 10 seconds, 50%, 5 to 10 seconds. Once I get to 70%, I need to lock down this stick, squeeze every muscle in my body, and go up to 70. And then we'll go max effort for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now once I'm here, I've done my PAIL, and I'm going to do my rail. I'm going to drive down and back into the pad. 10%, 30%, 50%, 70%, and then 10 seconds pushing away. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Now, if you really struggle to get into this position right here, maybe you can't reach your foot, maybe your balance is out of whack, maybe this is just so tight through this tissue that you cannot get that ankle involved, okay? We can use a couch or a bench, okay, and set up in quite the same way. I'm going to do this other one just to let this one relax a little bit. And now, want a nice vertical shin on the back side and the front side. Now, because this ankle's out of the equation, okay, that ankle actually, as you extend that ankle, creates more tension in the quad and the hip flexor. So by letting the ankle hang loose, this becomes an easier stretch. And you'll just do what we did right there. Same exact position, really squeezing the glute, looking at the belt buckle, trying to stretch out the hip flexor and quad. 2-minute stretch, 30-second PAIL, 30-second rail, and you're going to gain some range of motion in the hip flexor, and then you're going to strengthen it in those extreme positions, preventing some of those tears, those tweaks, those things that start to nag you as you get into season.